As we all know, ride sharing is constantly improving. Uber and Lyft is always thinking of new ideas, new features, and more to improve their apps. And as somebody who's both driven for Uber and Lyft, also takes Ubers and Lyfts constantly, and I'll also say makes tons of videos about Uber and Lyft, there's a lot of ideas that have always kind of popped into my head about improving Uber and Lyft. So in this video, I want to talk about my 5 unique and creative and interesting ideas to improve Uber and Lyft in 2025. Number 1, a pickup or truck option. I think it'd be really interesting to have like Uber pickup or Lyft pickup. And the main concept is this. It's almost a blend of taking a normal Uber or Lyft kind of with an Uber Connect. Now, in case you didn't know, Uber Connect is where you can send a package. Let's say you have to send a package to someone's place or like a notebook. I don't know why you'd send a notebook, maybe for notes or something. I don't know. Let's say you're sending something to somebody. You can use Uber Connect. And I found, or one idea I've thought of after looking into like a lot of the nitty gritty of using Uber and Lyft, I found a lot of people, when they like say ask somebody for a vehicle, need to move something big. Like say I want to move this table that's right in front of me. Like say I want to move a couch. Very classic example. I think it'd be really interesting if Uber and Lyft had a feature where like say you could call, let's say Uber truck or Lyft truck. Specifically, you're asking for a pickup truck. And I have taken Ubers and Lyfts where someone was driving like a Ford F-150, like kind of the staple of a lot of pickup trucks, and they're just driving me normally. And it's popped into my head like, what if you had a special feature called Uber truck or Lyft truck, where you could order a truck specifically? So a truck with a trunk bed, and what you could do is say, okay, hey, I need to move a couch or something. And you order that Uber truck or Lyft truck, it pulls up, and maybe you could add in a special feature saying, hey, like, do you need help moving it or not? Maybe as the Uber driver or Lyft driver, you get an extra bonus or fee or something like that on top of that. Or let's say it's you and your friend. I think that'd be kind of interesting if you're like, all right, we need to move this couch. I'm moving from point A to point B. I'm moving to a new place. We're going to order Uber truck. It's me and my friend, Joe Schmo. And the truck pulls up. You both carry out, you and a friend, the bed or the couch, whatever, to the truck. You put it in. The Uber driver and Lyft driver drops you off. I think that'd actually be a good idea. And like I said, you could even add a special feature saying when you order it, kind of similar to like Uber Comfort, where it says, hey, like, what do you want for your temperature? What do you want for X, Y, or Z? You could maybe have a special pop-up say, hey, do you need help moving something? If so, it's going to be an extra $10 or $20. I know some Uber drivers and Lyft drivers might or might not like this, but I feel like a lot of my truck drivers out there, I have talked to a lot of drivers who drive their trucks, and the big thing they complain about is MPG. And I get it. Like, that makes sense. If you're driving a big pickup truck, if you're just dropping off a few people, you're kind of, in my opinion, wasting the horsepower or the power in general of that truck. When it comes to Uber truck or Lyft truck, you could take advantage of that by getting paid more, where people are specifically taking advantage of the size and the usefulness of your truck by, for the most part, moving stuff in general from one place to another. Number 2, party rides. Now, I want to explain this one. This is kind of interesting. To explain with a brief story, I remember I was in Santa Ynez, a place near Santa Barbara, and they had a bunch of like wineries, and I did this wine tour where basically they would drive me around, and it was me and a bunch of other people. Think of it like a mini tour of all these wineries, and you could drink. And I remember the person who was driving us, our tour guide, said that because it was a commercial vehicle, that's a big thing to this, a commercial vehicle, you could actually legally drink in it. She said you can legally drink in it. You just can't be in the front seats. You can't be in shotgun. You have to be basically behind where she's sitting in the shotgun area. So basically that's where everyone was sitting anyway. It was like a minivan, like a Ford Transit, like 150. So it was like, think like a minivan that maybe fit, I don't know, 6 to 9, no, probably more than 6. Let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 10 people, right? 10, 12 people. So it was like a very small van, but big enough you could fit 10 to 12 people. And you could legally bring the wine in and drink as she's driving around everywhere. And obviously she wasn't drinking, of course. And that got me kind of thinking, it'd be kind of cool to have something called like Uber Party or Lyft Party, where you're not ordering a normal Uber or Lyft. Well, obviously, as we know, it does depend on state to state. You can't legally have open containers. You can't consume alcohol in the vehicle. But you're also not ordering a party bus, right? Uber does have Uber Charter. We can order like a full-on party bus. But let's say just you and a few of your friends. It's like 5 people, right? And you're like, all right, we want to go to this place. We're drinking. It's a bachelor or bachelorette party. It's just a fun night to go out or whatever. It'd be kind of cool to take advantage of, like, say, that unique area that driver told me about when I did the Santa Ynez winery tour. Well, let's say if you have like a Ford, like say Transit F-150. You have a van that can fit 8 or 10 people, and you have a commercial license or the van is a commercial vehicle, I would think it'd be a cool kind of middle ground of not ordering a normal Uber or Lyft, not ordering a full-on big party bus where you really do need like 20 people or whatever. It's kind of like an in-between, like a mini party bus, or like I call an Uber or Lyft party, where you have a little more room, so it can fit like say maximum 10 people. So like say a bit of like a bigger XL, but also you can legally drink in it. Now I know some drivers are probably hearing this being like, no way, Mark, absolutely not. I don't want people drinking in my car. You have to worry about containers being in it being a mess. God forbid someone spills alcohol, what if someone pukes? So there are, of course, things you do have to kind of consider. But I think one thing that could get kind of brought with that is maybe a good extra fare or extra fee. Because I was thinking, I can't remember how much money the person got paid, my tour guide, when I was doing the winery tour, but you got paid a good amount. Granted, it did include some of the wineries and that kind of thing. But I remember thinking imagine if you did this where the price of this Uber party or Lyft party would be a lot more expensive. And let's say it's you and a few of your friends. It's 5 of you. And you're like, hey, I don't want to order a full-on party bus, but I want to kind of drink on my way there. It'd be kind of nice to have the person driving the party bus maybe, or mini party bus, if I'd call it that, drive around a little bit before you get to your destination. I could see this being like a big thing because I think sometimes, and this happened with me and my friends, we're like, okay, we want to go somewhere, but we kind of want to like have a fun journey getting there. But also, we're not going to drink in the car because obviously we don't want to bring open containers into the Uber vehicle or the Lyft vehicle. But also, it's 6 of us. We don't want to order a full-on party bus when it's only, like, say, a small bachelor party of 6 people. You don't want to order a limo or a gigantic party bus when we really don't need that much space. And I think this could be kind of a cool middle ground. I feel like this would be probably not big in remote areas. But in places like Vegas, well, let's say it is, like, say, a small bachelor party or bachelorette party of 5 people. I feel like this would be perfect for that, where you can drink in the vehicle, have them maybe drive you around, maybe you take a bit of a circuitous route. So you're kind of getting the benefits of a party bus, but on a way smaller scale. Number 3, driver match. This is kind of an interesting one. I've talked about it actually in a few different videos when I've talked about like different ideas for Uber and Lyft. And that is this. Let's say I get done with a ride and I had a great driver. And let's say they were really good, they were responsive, we had a good conversation. For me, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have them again. And I think it'd be cool that, let's say at the end of a ride, when let's say you're giving a rating to your driver, you could hit like a button saying, I'd love to match with them again. And what this means is if, let's say the driver does the same, like say with a passenger, they say, yeah, would you want to match with them again? There's a special like hit button you check or like something like that, where if you both match with each other, kind of like Tinder or like online dating, if let's say there's a situation, which also could be very, very rare, but let's say there's a situation where you're looking for an Uber Lyft and they happen to be on the road, you're more likely to get bumped up in the algorithm for them, that you're more likely to get paired. That way you get matched with that same driver again. Now I will say there are some complications with this I can already think of, and some situations that maybe this could get a bit questionable. So I will say that. I always like to be very transparent and look at both sides of every situation. When it comes to this, I think that could be kind of a cool feature because I'm not gonna lie, there's been sometimes I've had drivers that I'm like, wow, this is great. If I only got them again. Like, this is such a great driver. He was super nice, respectful, responsible. Like, we had a good conversation. And I'd love to have him again. If anything, I'd be more likely to tip him more because if I had him again, like, hey, like, how's everything going? I remember you from last month, blah, blah, blah. Now, granted, of course, the situation, the chance of, let's say, 2 people in the same area ordering an Uber and Lyft when this person's available, it could be not as feasible or common, but I feel like it'd be kind of cool. And as we all know, the best customer is a repeat customer. And I can see on both ends for both the passengers saying, hey, this is a great driver. I'd love to ride with them again. I'd even tip them again because they're a great guy or a great girl. But also on the driver's end being like, hey, this is a great passenger. They were really nice. They did not do anything malicious or disrespectful, that they weren't rude. This is a great passenger. I'd love to have them again. And it could be this kind of cool way when you go to rate each other, obviously on both ends, good way to kind of add a matching feature. Then in case you both are looking for something, one person's looking for a ride, one person's looking for a passenger, you could get matched up again. Number 4, music sync. This one is actually an idea that I got from Waymo, which I know is a big topic. I've been doing a few videos about Waymo, these self-driving cars, the self-driving technology, the apps. It's basically like a rideshare app where the driver is AI or a robot or whatever. It's kind of trippy being in Waymo. I have done some videos about Waymo, but one interesting thing about Waymo that I kind of like is on the app, you can use its iHeartRadio, the music stations. You can pick a station, kind of similar to Pandora, where you say you pick an artist or a song or genre, a mood, a theme like Christmas music, whatever. And then when you're in that Waymo, you have the option to pick that station. I think this would be a great feature for Uber and Lyft because I know a big thing for a lot of drivers, and I've experienced this as a passenger, is you get an Uber or Lyft, you're like, hey, do you have an aux cord? And they're like, no. And you're like, all right, well, can we connect via Bluetooth? And as we all know, sometimes Bluetooth can be so annoying and such a hassle to like try to connect it. In addition, most cars, and I kind of get it, have a security feature where you can't add a new device when you're moving. So as a driver, you have to pull over, you have to wait, you have to add a new device, you have to try to connect it, and blah, 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 because people want to listen to music. I think it'd be a great feature, similar to what Waymo does and what Waymo's doing, is like say in the Uber app, in the Lyft app, to somehow integrate with a streaming service like Spotify, iHeartRadio, like Waymo's doing, Pandora, whatever, and you pick the stations you like. There are, especially with me being a musician, in case you didn't know, some legal rules when it comes to picking specific songs. That's a whole other thing in itself, so that could get tricky, I'm going to be honest. Unless maybe you can connect premium accounts, things that get kind of tricky. The music world, when it comes to rights and royalties, is way more complicated than you think. And especially with me being a musician full-time, in addition to doing YouTube full-time, it's a mess. Anyway, I think it would have to be kind of like a platform based off of like I said, playlists. Like I said earlier, like you pick like a station, like an artist, a song, and play stuff based off that, very similar to Pandora. And anyway, what you could do is when you go on your Uber app, like say connect iHeartRadio, like Wayne was doing, you type in your favorite artists or songs or genres or themes or moods or whatever. You have a bunch of different stations. And then when you're driving, the Uber app for the driver is already connected to their Bluetooth. So you can kind of control the music via the app without the driver really having to be involved. I think this is great for, one, the driver. Amazing for the driver. They don't have to worry about connecting Bluetooth, pulling over. And remember, when you're not moving in an Uber or Lyft, the driver's not pretty much making any money. They're making literally pennies. So it would be great for the driver. It's also less hassle. It's less annoying. In addition to, as the passenger, you kind of have this autonomy or this feeling of, great, I don't have to ask the driver, like, hey, do you mind pulling over? I really want to connect my device. Hey, do you have an aux cord? Oh, shoot, I actually have the old iPhone. Do you have the new iPhone cable? Like, all these kind of annoying things. You don't really have to worry about that, where you could just control it right from the app, from the Uber app or the Lyft app, and all the driver has to do on their end is, like I said, connect the app via Bluetooth to their car. They can do that, and it's going to be connected all day or all night as they're driving. And as a passenger, all your stations are right there within the app. You can control it however you want. Pick the station, pick the artist, based the song, have it be playing music, you're good to go. And lastly, number 5, the gold star. This would be a great one. I think this would be a really cool idea, and that is this. For most people, in case you didn't know, I mean, this is probably common for anybody when rating anything, I find people typically rate either 5 stars or 1 star. Yeah, you have like 2 stars or 3 stars or 4 stars, but let's be honest, I think for most people, either A, they just say, oh yeah, 5 stars. Cool, 5 stars, like whatever, on both ends. Or B, if it's a really bad ride, you're like, oh, 1 star. Another thing, though, is I think for a lot of people, they usually forget to rate, right? Like, because I think for most people, like if I get into an Uber or Lyft, I remember learning this in psychology, and this is very relevant for this point. The opposite of comfort is not discomfort, it's the other way around. The opposite of discomfort is comfort. In the sense of this, if I walk into a room and it's a very comfortable temperature, I don't say, oh wow, this is the perfect temperature for a room. I don't notice that. Discomfort is a lack of comfort, not the other way around. So if I walk into a room and it's too cold or it's too hot, I'm like, oh man, it is freezing here. Or it's too hot, and I'm like, oh, like, wow, this is way too hot, like I'm sweating, right? Discomfort is a lack of comfort. So for a lot of people, when they're in an Uber Lyft, if let's say I get in an Uber Lyft, they pick me up, we don't talk, they drop me off, I'm like, oh yeah, 5 stars, right? And if you think about it, let's say I have one driver that does that. I always rate my drivers 5 stars. Most people do anyway. I saw this meme that was like, me, my driver, no words, okay, 5 stars. So if you think about it, if let's say you are a driver though, that goes above and beyond the Call of Duty, if I'm gonna say it like that, you're still getting 5 stars compared to another driver who didn't talk or do anything, right? It kind of goes back to this example of discomfort is a lack of comfort, where unless the driver does something really messed up, you're always gonna rate him 5 stars. But I feel like this does kind of, not hurt, and it doesn't hurt, but I feel like it's unfortunate for the drivers, like say, you do go crazy above and beyond. And I guarantee we've all have those drivers, maybe you're one of them, that you're driving and you do crazy things to make the experience amazing. I think the amazing and a very cool feature, which would be very easy to implement on the Uber app and the Lyft app, to have a gold star rating. Where let's say you give them 5 stars. You give them the typical rating. And then under that, there's a special thing that you hit. Think of it like in kindergarten or preschool when you get like a gold star and you say, hey, do you want to give this gold star to a driver? And what that means, you're saying, hey, this ride was exceptional. So you're kind of giving them 6 stars, but it's like an extra star on top of that. And I think to kind of police this as well, to make it not something you do all the time, it can be something you say, hey, only do this if your driver was exceptional. In addition, you can only give out 4 gold stars a month. So each passenger has 4 gold stars a month they can give out. And then what can happen is, if let's say you're driving, or let's say you're in a car and you're driving, and you can give a gold star. Maybe you do on the other end. Maybe as a driver, you can give a gold star to a passenger. Although I think it works better the other way around. I think it works better for passengers rating their drivers and giving them that gold star. I think it'd be great. And like I said, for each person, you have a max of 4 gold stars a month. So you can't just throw these out kind of like you're throwing out 5 stars. This is something that you're saying, hey, this driver was legitimately one of the best drivers I've ever had, one of the best ones I've had in a long time. Not only am I giving them 5 stars, which, I mean, kind of standard, but once you hit in 5 stars, there's an extra thing that pops up saying, hey, do you want to give them a gold star? And with this gold star, you're saying they're one of the best, and I have to give them one of the finite gold stars that I have.